Have you ever wanted to go scuba diving? How about between tectonic plates? Because there's only one place in the world where you can do that, and that's in Iceland. Let's go. For learning to traveling adventures, subscribe to my channel and don't forget to hit the little bell icon to be notified when I upload a video every Wednesday. Hey friends, I went to Iceland about a month and a half ago now and did the infamous Silfra dive in Thingvellir National Park, which is the only place in the world where you can scuba dive between tectonic plates. I just want to share my experience with you so you can prepare and have a good time too if and when you decide to go.
We are standing between two tectonic plates. You have the North American side behind me and the Eurasian side, which is actually quite far away. It's on the other side of the valley. It's about 3 to 5 miles apart or 4 to 7 kilometers apart, and they're constantly drifting away from each other. It's about an inch every year that they're drifting apart. It has been basically naturally filtered for many decades and for many distances. The source of this water is Iceland's second largest glacier. It's called Langjökull or Long Glacier. This is located about 50 kilometers to the north, about 35 miles. So it does take quite a long time for it to basically travel here, and along the way there's a lot of lava fields all around, and lava is a very good natural filter. So by the time we put our faces into the water, we are looking at water that's been naturally filtered for at least 35 miles or 50 kilometers. And depending on who you ask, it's at least 30 years to maybe 100 years. Underwater visibility is at least 300 feet or 100 meters, and it's all fresh water as well. Because the water is so clear, there's normally not much life in Silfra, but it is the spawning season, so we do get quite a lot of fish kind of swimming up the river to spawn. They're not supposed to come into Silfra, but sometimes they get lost.
The dive.is website made scheduling easy and part of the registration process. I did learn that the training and actual dive day do not have to be next to each other, but I preferred it so that I wouldn't have to do a lot of back and forth driving between Reykjavik and my other stops. It's also good to note that they only book tours on weekdays. So I don't know if you've heard, but Iceland's pretty cold, much colder than I'm used to in Texas. The entire Iceland experience is
completely immersive, with water that's wet.
And did I mention cold? The water temperature in Silfra is between 35 and 39 degrees Fahrenheit. Enter Drysuits. Despite the name, I didn't think that I would actually stay dry. Apart from my head and my hands, which were still covered by a thick layer of neoprene, the rest of me stayed completely dry. Under the dry suit, it's recommended to wear thermal layers, but I ended up wearing 2 pairs of socks, normal non-thermal leggings, and 2 long sleeve shirts, one of which was a base layer that I mentioned in my previous video about what I packed to Iceland. Then on top of the layers that you wear, dive.is provides a soft thermal bodysuit, and then finally the dry suit goes on top. There are tight latex openings at the wrists and at the neck, which can be further tightened if they're a bit loose with electrical tape or they have adjustable collars. This is to protect you from the icy water that may seep in if you turn your head too much. There were times during the training at the pool when I thought I turned my head too much and my clothes felt a little bit wetter, but it was just sweat. With all of the layers, that pool water was hot. Previously, I didn't have any experience diving with the dry suit, so I did have to take the course. This consisted of an online module on the PADI website and then some hands-on training at a local pool. There, we got to try on the dry suit and get a feel for it, as well as work on some underwater skills like disconnecting and reconnecting the inflator valve. After that, we took a drive to a nearby area that looked like it had a really shallow pond that we were supposed to be diving in, but was actually quite deep. So deep that there was a shipwreck placed at the bottom and a whalebone not placed there but still definitely there. The objective there was to practice the same skills that we'd practice at the pool, but like in real life. It was a bit more challenging in actual cold water because even with the thick neoprene gloves, my fingers were a bit chilled and difficult to use. In a wetsuit when you scuba dive, pee all you want. But in a dry suit, visit the toilets before you suit up or you'll be relieving yourself on all of your nice, dry, clean clothes.
Just go, man!
In the middle of this national park, don't expect food trucks or anything in the parking lot, but after each of the dives, we were treated to cookies and hot chocolate. Because there's a parking fee for this park, you may as well enjoy some hikes while you're there, including this incredible waterfall. Comment below and tell me if you would dive here despite the cold water. One might think that the most difficult part about this dive was the cold, but I assure you, it was not. It was two other things. The first is maintaining neutral buoyancy. In an ideal world, when you're scuba diving, you're trying to keep your body as flat as possible, which is normally a relatively easy thing to do, but not in a dry suit. There's air in the dry suit to keep you buoyant, but if there's a part of your body that's even a little bit more elevated than the rest of you, then there's going to be air that moves to that more elevated area of the dry suit. There is a danger to this, and I was having difficulty keeping my feet from floating up, so I was having to kick or just pull my legs down, which tired out my hamstrings, and that just split my focus from enjoying my time in the water and grabbing footage. You'll notice that it's rather shaky. It's probably because I was kicking and pulling my legs down. The second difficulty began just after we exited the water.
The hardest part really is to just walk here and then to walk back afterwards. So that's for most people the biggest struggle off the dive itself.
We had to walk in our dry suit with heavy wet equipment all the way back to where the vans were parked. And I knew this mentally, but physically I was exhausted, probably from all of the kicking and pulling my legs down. So I trudged back, not thinking about anything but the next step and the next step so that I could set the really heavy equipment down. Technically, our dive master clearance said that we could ask for help or set some equipment down and they would just come pick it up later, which I would definitely recommend. That was the longest walk I've ever taken. For the training day and actual dive, I paid this much, which includes basically bottomless hot chocolate. I paid this much for photos that were sent by email with a Dropbox folder that not only included photos taken throughout the dive, but also best of Silfra photos. Please note that all of this is in Icelandic krona, so there may be a difference in exchange rate when you go. Would I do this again? If someone else paid, I absolutely would. But would I do cold water again?
Obviously.
Dry suits open up the possibility of diving in much cooler waters than tropical regions. But for Silfra, unless you're a really passionate scuba diver or you really want that picture of you between the tectonic plates touching them, then snorkeling is a great alternative because you also get the benefit of having a dry suit. Throughout the dive, there were a lot of ups and downs, like depth-wise, where some points my fins were even hitting the surface. So it's almost like snorkeling. But there is a little something to scuba diving that you don't get snorkeling. There's a peaceful quiet and you only hear your bubbles. There's the depth and the blue that you don't get really at the surface. There are fish that you may not get to see, like the two fish that we did see were, you would not have been able to see that if you were been snorkeling. So there are pros and cons to both, but I would recommend going either way. Now you know a little bit more about diving in Silfra. If you're getting ready to go, I've got another video for you to help you pack for your Icelandic adventure. Also, thanks for watching. Make sure to smash the like button. Don't forget to subscribe, and I'll see you next week. Bye! Which includes basically bottomless hot chocolate, which is the real selling point here. It was really good.
Weren't you listening yesterday?
I'm listening, I swear.
I'm like Clarence.
Now we know how the other head feels.